Okay. Um, Shade, this is Joe from. Mhm. Great. Okay. 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 Great. Great. I'm excited. Thank you for your patience on that. Okay. Oh, okay. Hey everyone. I don't know if I'm live right now, but I feel live. Um, I'm working with a bunch of browsers open, getting really pumped about all the photos that are coming in from this biggest day of action on any issue, but it happens to be it's about climate change. I am pumping up my volume a little bit. Hopefully people can hear me a little better. Um, I think I can see the chat, so if I'm too soft or too loud, just maybe write something. Um, and I'm really excited to talk about all that's happening today. I mean, you could see it on Facebook, you could see it on Twitter, you could see it in the live Flickr feed. You could see it, I think, most of all on the 350 website, where Bill McKibben has become his prolific photo blogging version of himself. Um, and I'm excited to talk about online organizing and how we're just starting to figure out how that stuff works. Um, and I'm pumped for questions and topics that y'all might want to cover that Michael might want to start the conversation on. Yeah, yes, I can. Yes, I can hear you, Michael. Okay, great. Michael, I can hear you really well. Yeah, I'm up in Burlington, Vermont at this little cubby of an office. And there's the whole city really is getting to work for 10 to 10 here. So I'm torn because all these amazing photos are coming in from all around the world. Like 7,000 people just marched through Istanbul, and those photos are coming in, and that's about one person for every single work party that's happening today, and our city's one of them. So I kind of want to be up there on the hill or fanning out across the city working on all these service projects, but I also just really excited to watch all the excitement expressing itself online. So yeah, that's where I am. Exciting times. Yeah. Well, first, I just want to say that, yeah, 350, the whole online organizing crew behind 350 that you've been in touch with, like Phil and Jamie and others, are all really pumped for this digital catalytic online backbeat to this big offline real world day of action. This is real. These conversations count. Um, I'm sure everyone already knows that, but this isn't sort of just retweeting. So um, we're hitting like, so I'm really excited, and I wish I could have been in the earlier chats today. Um, I think the film captures a lot what it would look like if the whole world uses the web to connect for real world action. And I think that that's sort of been this dream, right? That we can swarm, together online, coordinate stuff, and then, fan out. And I think today we're seeing a taste of that, applied to the issue that the theme also covers. I think Coalition of the Willing is the film, while it goes through the history of the failure of Copenhagen and it goes through the history of social justice campaigns in America and around the world. Um, my sense is that it's a film for every movement. And I think that we're still far from going into any community and saying, I care about climate change, or I care about human rights, or I care about poverty, or I care about prisoners' rights, or I care about any kind of issue, and being able to connect and swarm using the web with people in my community and around the world that also care about the issue. So I think today we see a sample of that, and I think it being the biggest day of action on any issue ever, is a taste not just of the future of the climate movement and where we can keep innovating and figuring out the online cutting edge, and keep building power and the grassroots power, mostly offline but offline too. No, mostly offline but online too, to maybe one day win the day. Um, I think it's also perhaps could be a model for connecting any issue that Coalition of the Willing has sort of set out a vision for. That this is possible. That we've only sort of just tapped the potential here. Yeah, go. Yeah. I'm not quite sure what the question is. How do you bridge relationships with groups that have a sister cause or the same cause, or another kind of progressive issue that we're all connected on? No, I think it's good pursuit. I hear that. I mean, I think that's the crux of it. I think they're very connected. I think, okay. I think they're connected. If you have 100 different green groups tweeting about X environmental issue, and not really acknowledging the other Twitter updates, um, supporters for the first time are seeing that there's an immense amount of possibilities for collaboration because it's expressed online. The fact that there's a number of echo chambers, um, and and it's not so much frustration, but also like hope and like possibility. Like, what if there was collaboration and connection there? And the truth is that on the back channel, there usually is a lot of collaboration and connection work modeled on what happens on a more grassroots level. But I think that your question of what do you do when you discover another group doing really similar work? Um, how do you bring them into your work and vice versa? Um, I think probably it's going to be really easy to get frustrated and say, why don't they just get on board with my project? I've been frustrated, looking at another group that, say, time and again hasn't promoted something I'm working on, but is really working on the same cause. Um, and I'll just start giving them lots of love. I'll link to them on Facebook or follow Friday them on Twitter. If my game is on, and so instead of just wishing or becoming frustrated, I find that just going first in that process helps out a lot, and that the online dance that we can do on these social media beacons, gives us a great little ability to play with that, to be the catalyst for those connections. Does that kind of, I mean, that's just like one tip. Right. Lead by example. Yeah, I mean, I don't think this is a big day of activism today. I think this is a big day of action. I think this is a big day of people from all stripes and backgrounds coming together and doing something. So I think the work we do, I try and rarely ever use the word activist, and sometimes it slips through. Um, you know, it it's it's a tough piece of language because it sort of connotates, someone with a protest sign walking around with a bunch of other people with a protest sign, and that's great and crucial work, but it's off-putting to some people. So I think that today shows that if you double down on an issue and you double down on a cause, then you're going to need all kinds of people getting behind it. You're going to need the designers, you're going to need the architects, you're going to need the coders. And this is a day of action that shows it. From the banners to the speeches to the blogging. I mean, it's many different people with many different skills that are making this day massive. I get the sense that it's a question not so much about 10, 10, 10, but I'm just watching it play out today. That if you focus on a campaign, that you make it about the issue and not a brand, and you focus on the social change, not and you focus on what you're fighting for, then my sense is that if you invent your own language that's open, that connects with a lot of people, that you could bring in a lot of different people into that. I think we're doing it, and I think it's doable. I would say 99% of the people that are getting to work today don't consider themselves activists. Yeah, sure. I guess you're talking to the social media like grunt man. I sort of turn on the laptop, in the morning and just get really, really pumped about the new events that were signed up, or the tweets that are coming in from all over the world, or the Facebook updates and the photos. And I try and help reflect that back, and amplify it and showcase it as a facilitator. I mean, that's the most that this campaign is really, is our facilitators. So I guess I'm like the social media flashlight. I'll be like, check this out. Someone just did this over here, and here's a link to maybe their website or their Facebook event. Um, and so that's who you're listening to right now. The Facebook and Twitter guy, or one of them for 350. Everyone, it really has their own. Well, rather, many people. There's hundreds of 350 Facebook groups, and there's over 100 350 Twitter accounts. So I try and help weave them together, shine the light. It's tough. I mostly fail, and it's exercise and constant juggling. I don't know if that does the job. Right on, right on. Um, yeah, it's crystal clear. I know Suresh. Hey, Suresh. Um, the the model is that 350 is a campaign. It's not an organization. So it's an umbrella that any organization can use to create a benchmark and a rallying point for their community. So it's built for collaboration. It's built to be egoless. It's built to be around a number, not a .org. It's built around allowing people to sort of treat it like an open source project to make it their own in their community. And the same goes for organizations. So you have the Rainforest Action Network really inviting their community to do something on 10.10 that involves taking action against Chevron. You know, very specific to a very important Rainforest Action Network campaign, but they can co-opt the 10.10.10 date and do whatever they want with it. That's that's cool and awesome, but really pushes their campaign forward. So so we have a very definite approach to that answer, and this is your campaign. You can use this. You can shepherd it as much as you want to push your work forward as much as you want to. In the climate movement, if we're going to win this, we're going to need a movement. And so this is a way for every organization that's been doing really good, back channel lobbying, really good reporting, really good illumination to help their supporters coalesce and coordinate and connect to turn into that, bigger and bigger, unprecedented global movement that will take years, that may take decades, that will likely take a century or more. It starts today, and the only way that it was been successful is because we had a framework for collaboration from the get-go. Yeah. I think that's a powerful insight that I haven't dug as deep as it sounds like you have. I think all these tools are absolutely flawed. I mean, at heart, some of these tools are as much as fascist. The way that sometimes they're censored, and the way that sometimes the data just disappears. As a campaigner that has to think about the short term and the long term, yeah, I think it warrants a lot more thinking on the long term. In the short term, 500 million users, you're going to go to that network. You're going to go to Facebook. When many of the connectors in your community are on Twitter, you're going to go there. You kind of don't have a choice in sort of an exciting, challenging way. But I think you're right that storing the data is going to be important so that we're not just always on the seat of our pants, that we're building history and building upon other work. And so we diversify. There's over 27,000 photos in Flickr. There's 1,000 photos on Facebook. TwitPic has, a good bunch of them. The conversations happen in many places. There's lots hosted on the blog, on the website. Um, Different eggs, different baskets. I know it's all flawed, but we're sort of, I guess, doing the best we can. And I think the work that the film does and the post-film sort of conversations and the work that Suresh and others are doing, like, is cracking open a framework and a roadmap for figuring out how to do this stuff, and not just feel like we're just like flying around, just using whatever tools are hot. Because I realize that. I realize that this is, broadly imperfect. Yeah. Yep. Fortuitous. Why is that? Uh, well, I I mean, a genuine mistake was made. I'm not actually sure what caused it, but a mistake was made where we sent a good number of emails in Spanish and Portuguese to a good number of people that didn't speak Spanish and Portuguese. Um, and it was embarrassing. And some people were sort of psyched that they realized, oh my gosh, I'm part of a global movement that speaks other languages. Other people, not so much. Nobody likes emails that they don't sort of want. Um, so that happened. I, I'd love to explore what it looks like to have an email system that doesn't make mistakes. I'm not quite sure how it fits into what we're talking about, but I'm open to covering it. I mean, we were using Democracy in Action, which is an open source software package that nonprofits can pay X number of dollars a month for personal customer service on. I think if I have that right. Um, and I think it's now called Salsa Labs, and it works pretty dandy. Um, I don't think it's totally open source culture, but it's open source code. But right, absolutely. I mean, and it's tough work. I don't follow the open source language translating field that well, but I know that it's alive and thriving. But it's tough work. I do not envy the job of the guy who balances all the language translation coordination for 350. Um, yeah, I don't. I know this is a little contrary. Uh, I don't wake up in the morning and say, what tool could I use right now? Maybe it's because I've gotten so in the box thinking, looking at, how to edit a Facebook note really, really well to think of like what leapfrogs this. Um, I wake up in the morning and I look at websites like Care2 or like Change.org or Idealist.org or any of these social change websites. I mean, those that I mentioned right now are a little bit, American centric. But any of those, and then I look and then I look at my community. And I look at all the communities I've lived in, and all the communities that I kind of imagine all around the world. And I think, you know, how uh, how do they connect? Why is it that if I go into any given community that I can't easily connect with people that care about an issue that I care about? Why isn't that I'm not bitching, but why is it that if I go to any given community, I can't connect with people that really care about health issues, like we talked about a little before, environmental issues, poverty issues, and so on and so on. Yet, we have all this web infrastructure in place that could, in theory, like that, say, we're going to now, host coordinated meetups across all of our different social change websites. So no matter what website you went to, it connected with a cause, and that cause connected with a meetup, and that meetup connected to your community. Because what makes my work challenging, just the same work that that any campaigner, volunteer, staff, or otherwise challenging, is that we need more power to push to make truth into a movement, and to make truth into justice, and to get the job done. And for that, we need people. No matter what issue, you need people. And so all these websites have the potential to connect people, and all these communities are sort of waiting for sort of a meme to do it. And we have the technology, and we're on the edge of the collaboration. We've seen rising examples of great collaboration. Some of the websites I mentioned do great work to pioneer that kind of collaboration. But I think it's that culture of collaboration and that sort of breakthrough meetup thing that has a lot of potential. Yeah, go. Right. Yes. Right. Right. Absolutely. I think the no, it's my soapbox too. I think it's the interoperability that's key. I think language will give us a boost. I think new technology will give us a boost. But I think it's someone saying, hey, if Change.org had a map, if NetSquared had a map, if 350, if all these websites may or may not have maps, most of those do, how do they connect together? So with a common technology, with APIs, with all the good stuff that y'all know much more about me, know much more than I do about, then I think bingo. And I don't think it's rocket science. I think they're waiting for people to step up. I think we see that today. You see 7,000 events all across the world just because an idea was sprouted by a few college graduates, from Middlebury, Vermont, which is how 350 got started. A couple months ago, on June 26th, in the wake of the disastrous and just awful Gulf oil spill, a guy in Florida named Dave said, and this connects, he said, I think it would be awesome if people all around the United States, all around the world, gathered on beaches and drew a line in the sand and said, not here. I stand united, we stand united against offshore drilling, and we stand united for clean energy. Um, and he put up a website, handsacrossthestand.org. Just no API, just a splash website. He said, maybe we could all get behind this, and we could use this as a language. We could use this as an open umbrella of a campaign. And within 3 weeks, 900 events, every state in the United States and many countries around the world, with some of the most stunning photos, just like we're seeing today, of people coming together to get the job done. Um, and they were just stunning, from Japan to New Jersey. Um, and so I think that anyone that's listening to this call, or anyone that's working in this space, we could move really quickly from the drawing board to literally making it happen, because it's just waiting for people to say, hey, I don't I have a low ego, I have a great idea. I have an idea that can connect all your work to something bigger. I have an idea that can connect all of our supporters together to lift all of us up on any given issue, or on all of them at once. They're just waiting. Right, right, sure. I think it is, yeah. Right, right. I just, um, well, um, Uh, well, yeah, I mean, this call is, I mean, this is the kind of conversation that I get huge kicks out of, coming out of a world like the Net Squared Nonprofit Technology for Social Change. I mean, before I was even knew that climate change was a big deal, that it was a matter of, survival for island nations and so forth. I was, drinking in cafes with Suresh in Vancouver, just talking about this stuff, and this was the gold, and this was the sauce, and for me, this is some of the funnest, most fun conversations, because they are big. They're big ones. They're the ones that can be game changers for every kind of issue. I would just want to put out there that the best kind of framework is a case study uh, these days. Most issues are so pressing that if you could just prove that it works, and you can get an agile version out there and then turn that into a framework after the fact, you can move really quickly from philosophy to on the ground practice, and see what works. I think Hands Across the Sand was one example. You had most every major green group putting their back behind Hands Across the Sand within 3 weeks. Um, and I think that the work that Social Actions does, connecting actions together just right out of the box, um, there was a lot of process there, but I think that's another great example. I think today what we're seeing, where it's not the 350 day of action, right? It's the 10-10-10, global work party, is an example of what happens when you put an idea out there, and just let people run with it. I think yeah, I think this movement camp could be a really great breeding ground for the case studies as well as the frameworks, vice versa. Um, okay, most definitely. This, I mean, oh, well, vice versa. I wish I could see the chat. Forgive me for being a social media person. I'm pretty technologically inept. Um, but thank you. I mean, this is the the place that I a lot come from. So it's just great to see it weaving upwards towards the issues as the issues realize that they need to build roots in sort of infrastructure and frameworks for collaboration. So I'm pumped. And what a day to really start kickstarting these conversations. So thank you everyone so much. Talk soon. No problem. All right. You too. Mostly me too. All right. Take care.